जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी।
जय
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining online and in person. Thank you, Vijay Prabhu, Tim Prabhu, Swan Bindu Prabhu, Balram Gopal Prabhu. And yeah, so we'll do our recitation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana हृदयन्तस्तो हि भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. So we are continuing our reading, Canto 2, Chapter 3, text number 20. 2, 3, 20. It's one of my favorite sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is being spoken by Shaunaka Rishi to Sutta Goswami. He's encouraging Sutta Goswami to keep reciting the conversations between Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj so that they can hear Krishna Katha. We can see the eagerness of Shaunaka to hear Krishna Katha. He's persuading Sutta Goswami really hard to speak, continue narrating Krishna Katha. So 2, 3, 20. Kindly repeat after me. Bile batoro krama vikramanye.
Bile baduru krama vikramanye.
Na shinvata karna pute narasya.
Na shunvata karna pute narasya.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Na chopagayati urugaya gatha.
Pagaya yurugaya gata.
Bile batoru krama vikramanye.
Bile badu rukrama vikramanye.
Na shinvata karna pute narasya.
Vata karna pute narasya.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Na chopagayati urugaya gatha.
Pagaya yurugaya gata.
Anybody would like to? Yes, Vijay Prabhu. Please. Na shinvata karna pute narasya.
Jivasati dharukikeva sutta.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Chopagaya yurugaya gata.
Na chopagayati urugaya gata. Okay. Anyone else? One more. Would you like to read?
Bile baturu krama vikramanye.
Bile batoru krama vikramanye.
Nashinvata karna pute narasya.
Nashinvate karna pute narasya.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Jivasati dar durike vasuta.
Nacho pagayat yurugaya gata.
Nacho pagayatyurugaya gatha. Word for word translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bile, snake holes. Bata, like Urukrama, the Lord who acts marvelous. Who acts marvelously. Vikraman, prowess. Yea, all these. No, never. Shinvata, heard. Karna pute, the ear holes. Narasya, of the man. Jihva, tongue. Asati, useless. Daradurika, of the frogs. Iva, exactly like that. Suta, O Suta Goswami. Na,
No.
Never.
Never.
Cha.
Cha.
Also.
Also.
Upagayati.
Upagayati.
Chants loudly.
Chants loudly.
Urugaya.
Urugaya.
Word singing.
Word singing.
Gatha.
Gatha.
Songs. Translation: one who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog. Purport: devotional service to the Lord is rendered by all limbs or parts of the body. It is the transcendental dynamic force of the spirit soul. Therefore, a devotee is engaged 100% in the service of the Lord. One can engage in devotional service when the senses of the body are purified in relation with the Lord. And one can render service to the Lord with the help of all the senses. As such, the senses and the action of the senses are to be considered impure or materialistic as long as they are employed only in sense gratification. The purified senses are engaged not in sense gratification but in the service of the Lord in toto. The Lord is the supreme with all senses, and the servitor, who is part and parcel of the Lord, also has the same senses. Service to the Lord is the completely purified use of the senses, as described in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord imparted instructions with full senses, and Arjuna received them with full senses. And thus there was a perfect exchange of sensible and logical understanding between the master and the disciple. Spiritual understanding is nothing like an electrical charge from the master to the disciple, as foolishly claimed by some propaganda mongers. Everything is full of sense and logic, and the exchange of views between the master and disciple is possible only when the reception is submissive and real. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one should receive the teaching of Lord Chaitanya with intellect and full senses so that one can logically understand the great mission. In the impure state of a living being, the various senses are fully engaged in mundane affairs. If the ear is not engaged in the service of the Lord by hearing about Him from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, certainly the holes of the ear will be filled with some rubbish. Therefore, the messages of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam should be preached all over the world very loudly. That is the duty of a pure devotee who has actually heard about them from the perfect sources. Many want to speak something to others. Many want to speak something to others, but because they are not trained to speak on the subject matter of Vedic wisdom, they are all speaking nonsense, and people are receiving them with no sense. There are hundreds and thousands of sources for distributing mundane news of the world, and people of the world are also receiving it. Similarly, the people of the world should be taught to hear the transcendental topics of the Lord, and the devotee of the Lord must speak loudly so that they can hear. The frogs loudly croak, with the result that they invite the snakes to eat them. The human tongue is especially given for chanting the Vedic hymns and not for croaking like frogs. Kakad kong, kakad kong, kakad kong. The word asati used in this verse is also significant. Asati means a woman who has become a prostitute. A prostitute has no reputation for good womanly qualities. Similarly, the tongue which is given to the human being for chanting the Vedic hymns will be considered a prostitute when engaged in chanting some mundane nonsense. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshtarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Dear devotees, I seek your blessings so that I can glorify Srimad Bhagavatam following the mood of Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna. So this verse is very beautiful because Shaunak Rishi is inspiring Suta Goswami to continue narrating Krishna Katha. And he's saying that the ears which do not hear the glories of Krishna, they are like snake holes. We have snakes and they live in the holes in the earth. So we also have some hole in our ear. And if Krishna Katha doesn't enter these ears, they are no better than snake holes. And those tongues which do not glorify the worthy songs about Krishna, those tongues are like tongues of the frogs. Kakad kong. They are actually inviting death near them simply by speaking some nonsense. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about how devotional service is an active service. It is not just a sentiment. It is done along with all the limbs and senses of the body. So Srila Prabhupada says that these senses are actually transcendental dynamic force of the spirit soul. So spirit soul is not just a light, or it's not something indescribable. Spirit soul has senses, and these senses are transcendental dynamic force of the spirit soul. So the spirit soul acts in the world through its senses. When we read in Srimad Bhagavatam about the process of creation, how different living entities are created, how the different elements come up, there's a description of the five bhutas: earth, water, fire, air, ether. There's also a description of the different demigods which are created. And it also describes the senses. So the senses, we have five knowledge acquiring senses: eyes for vision, ears for listening, sound, tongue for tasting, and nose for smelling, skin for the touch. And we have five working senses: hands, legs, genitals, speech. All of them are created during the process of creation. And there is a deity, there are demigods who are in charge of these senses. So they give us the faculty to interact with the world using these senses. For example, sun god is the demigod who is the deity for the vision. So one cannot simply see because one has eyes. One has to be having the mercy of the demigod, sun god, then one can see. Many times people have the organs, but they still can't utilize them. They can't acquire them. They can't see. They can't hear. They have the organ, but the demigod who is presiding that organ, he has not given the faculty to utilize that organ for seeing, for hearing, for smelling. Many times in COVID, people would have that problem. They have the nose, but they just can't smell. They have the tongue, but they can't taste. So the faculty has to be activated by the demigod, not just the organ. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that these senses are transcendental dynamic force of the spirit soul. They go along with the soul, they are not separate. When we go to the spiritual world, we work with our senses in their purified form. When we are in the material world, the same senses are used in impure activities, and the sense organs are the way we interact with the world in an impure way or a pure way. So there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita which says, Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha ahankar vimodhatma karta hamiti manyate. A living entity thinks that I am acting, but actually the material nature is acting, the modes are acting. The living entity is simply desiring that I want to do this, I want to do that. And then the super soul is sanctioning or rejecting that desire. Then the sense organs act because the super soul is the controller of the material nature, Prakriti. Prakriti is controlled by Krishna. Daivi Esha Gunmai Mam Maya Duratya Mame Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Krishna says that this material nature is very difficult to overcome, but one who has surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So when we desire to act in a certain way, Super Soul, who is sitting next to us, hears that desire and then he either sanctions it or rejects it. And based on his sanction, the material nature works. And I think that because I am desiring, my hand is moving. I am desiring, my tongue is creating some kind of words, speech is coming out. But actually, it is being sanctioned by the super soul and the demigods. So there's a sophisticated machinery for working senses and for knowledge gathering senses. Then Prabhupada says in the purport that how do we purify these senses? So Prabhupada says that one can engage in devotional service when the senses of the body are purified in relation with the Lord. And one can render service to the Lord with the help of the senses. So, first we have to purify the senses using the senses themselves. Narad Muni gives the example later on, or earlier in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He speaks about using the material things in order to therapeutically he uses the word therapeutically, right? So the poison can be used in a therapeutic way to cure another poison, just like vaccination, the same organism which is creating that disease is given in a certain proportion, in a certain way, therapeutically, so that it creates immunity in the body against that same disease. Another example is of milk products may cause indigestion, but another milk product, which is yogurt, transformed milk, helps us in therapy as a remedy for the same, which is caused by the same product. So similarly, we can use these senses, which are impure senses, in Krishna's service, and they will help us in purifying our senses. So the process for purifying is hearing about Krishna using the ear holes. So the verse says karna pute. Karna means ears and pute means the door. Pute means the holes. So if we use these ear holes for hearing Krishna Katha, if Krishna Katha enters our ears, then the heart will be purified, the mind will be purified. And when our heart and mind is purified, we can utilize all our other senses for Krishna service. So there is a verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. When we perform devotional service, all our senses are purified and we get free from the designations of body. then with such purified senses we can perform devotional service. So it's a verse which, the activity feeds onto itself. It's a self-feeding mechanism. So the more we do it, the more we get purified, and then more we grow in devotional service. Similarly, there's another verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, where it is said that when one serves the devotees, then one gains affinity to hearing the messages of Vasudev. So by serving the Vaishnavas, we gain affinity to serve Krishna, to hear about Krishna, and by hearing about Krishna, we gain affinity to serve the devotees. So it's a self-feeding mechanism. That's how we purify all our senses, working senses and knowledge acquiring senses. Parikshit Maharaj asked this question from Shukdev Goswami later in Srimad Bhagavatam. He asked this question, how can I use my material senses to realize God or realize the Supreme Person who is spiritual in nature? So Shukdev Goswami says that this question had been asked earlier. It was inquired earlier, and he says that if we use the sound, the material organs, material senses in the service of Krishna, then because Krishna is independent, he's Savrat, he's not controlled by anybody else, he can reveal himself. Ata Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai sevon mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spuratyada. That these blunt senses cannot be used to understand Krishna. Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. We were in LA for the Jagannath Rath Yatra, and we were doing this big procession of 3 chariots. We had Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra sitting. We were singing and dancing. And there were our Christian friends who were saying, this is idolatry. You are engaging in worshipping something which is not God. And Vijay Prabhu has famously said this earlier, that don't judge a book from the cover, because they don't know the process behind deity worship. How God can manifest in the form of wood, in the form of stone, in the form of metal, if we follow a standard process, if we follow a prescribed process. They don't know. They are judging the book from the cover. And on the other hand, those people who are engaging in chanting, in seeing the deity, in honoring Prasad, even though it is their first time, they are feeling the purification. So it's not that they are seeing Krishna using their blunt senses, but because they are listening Krishna's names, they are using their tongue for glorifying Krishna, for honoring Krishna Prasadam, Krishna himself is revealing to them. So if God has created this world, if this world is coming from God, why he cannot manifest himself through the matter? If he wants, he can do anything. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5 is really in connection with this verse, because chapter 5 talks about karma yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. So we use all activities in Krishna consciousness. So I feel that whole chapter is amazing. It's very much related to purification. Vijay Prabhu always liked this quality about purity. It's so hard. Purity is such a great quality. Vijay Prabhu gives the example of pure water. We have water purifiers for purifying the water. We have air purifiers for purifying the air. It will be nice if we have a soul purifier, which can purify the contamination of the soul. So the purification of the soul is by engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Uchate. That's the purification. Chanting Hare Krishna, honoring Krishna Prasadam. So I want to read 2 verses from this chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita, which I feel they are directly related to this particular purport. This is 5.8 through 9 and 5.10 and 11. I will read the translations. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Text 10. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Text 11. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification. I feel this is very apt verse in relation. I will read the purport to this 5.11. When one acts in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the senses of Krishna, any action, whether of the body, mind, intelligence, or even the senses, is purified of material contamination. There are no material reactions resulting from the activities of a Krishna conscious person. Therefore, purified activities, which are generally called sad achar, can be easily performed by acting in Krishna consciousness. Sri Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu describes this as follows: Iha yasya harer dase karmana manasa gira nikhila sopyavastasu jivan mukta suchate. A person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, in the service of Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is a liberated person even within the material world. Although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities, he has no false ego, for he does not believe that he is this material body or that he possesses the body. He knows that he is not this body and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. This is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. That's the first part of the purport, and the second part also mentions about how Krishna is full of senses and he gave this knowledge to Arjuna, who is also full of senses, and the knowledge which is passed down, it is sensible and logical. It is not like a electrical charge from the spiritual master to disciple. So there is some story about this spiritual organization where a student met a spiritual master and he touched him, and with one electric charge he passed all the information to the disciple. And the spiritual master, when he was he fainted, and then when he got up he said, now I have nothing left, I have given everything to you, to the disciple. But spiritual knowledge is not like that. Spiritual knowledge is always expanding. How can it reduce? Spiritual knowledge is permanent. How can the spiritual potency reduce? Anandam buddhi vardhanam. The more we share with others, the more it increases. So any such propaganda that you can give spiritual knowledge like an electric charge is a bogus propaganda. So Srila Prabhupada in purport to Bhagavad Gita 4.34, he recommends inquiry. He recommends well-reasoned faith. He doesn't want the followers to have blind faith. He tells about that we should ask inquiries which are not in the mood of argumenting. That inquiry means it is submissive. It is done in order to learn. It is done in the mood of service. I'm not able to remember that verse. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti tadgyanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. If one approaches a spiritual master with the mood of surrender, with the mood of service, inquiring submissively, such a person can receive transcendental knowledge from the master who has realized this knowledge himself. So that's how knowledge is passed down, by submissive inquiry and service. Just like Shaunaka here, he is glorifying Sutta Goswami and he is receiving transcendental knowledge. And if we don't use our senses for that, then some rubbish will enter our ears. I was in transit yesterday coming from LA to Austin. In the airport, people are talking about so many things. So that is all rubbish. It enters the ears and it contaminates the heart and consciousness. So I was using these earplugs and was chanting and reading. So it is important for us, for devotees, to protect our ear holes. Otherwise, these ear holes will act like snake holes. There's so people are talking about so much rubbish. There's social media. There are noises, sounds, music playing from everywhere. We think this music is innocent. When we go to a grocery store, there's some music playing. When we go to a park, there's some music playing. We have to be very careful. This is rubbish. Even though we don't understand, sound carries consciousness. It can contaminate our heart. So it's important to protect our ear holes regarding these innocent sounds. And when a devotee hears nicely, he cannot sit, but he has to glorify Krishna. If one has heard nicely, one cannot sit at a home. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, only a person who is alive, he can preach. A dead man cannot preach. So if we are hearing Krishna's words nicely, if we are hearing Krishna Katha nicely, we have to glorify. We have to go out. We have to chant Hare Krishna, distribute books, distribute prasadam. That's why we have Jagannath Rath Yatra, to glorify Krishna, to answer people's questions. We had nice question and answer booth. There were so many people taking advantage of that booth in Jagannath Rath Yatra. Otherwise, our tongue will be used for mundane nonsense. So Prabhupada says people are speaking all kind of nonsense and other people are receiving who have no sense. So there are people speaking nonsense and they're receiving with no sense. We have to give sense to these people by giving them prasadam and chanting glories of Krishna loudly so that they can hear. Otherwise, people are just inviting death like a frog croaks. Kakad kong, kakad kong, kakad kong. There's no difference. So Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita how we should follow the austerities of speech. Our words... so how does that verse begin? The austerities of speech. Our words should be truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and always reciting the Vedic literatures. We should not speak anything which is not approved by the Vedic literatures. So I will stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If anybody has any questions or reflections, we have few minutes. Or corrections. I live to be corrected.
I have one point, but maybe if I can do it at the end if somebody else wants to give a question or comment.
Please go ahead, Prabhu. You are the only one as of now. Suvarn Bindu, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think yes. Prabhupada explains in the purport that transmission of transcendental knowledge and advancement happens by intelligible inquiry, hearing, understanding, with total sensory awareness, as far as I can remember. And transmission of transcendental sound is nothing like electrical charge. I mean, it's beautifully explained, but
Yes.
at the same time, it just crossed my mind how in Antya Lila, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that basically he's also showing the other side, that actually even in our process of bhakti yoga, we also have electrical charge, which acts wonderfully. And even if somebody doesn't understand how it works, actually it can also basically charge us with love of God. He says three things, which is dust from the lotus feet of water that has washed his feet, and remnants of his food. And in the next verse, that's in Antya Lila, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, if someone serves these three, that's another question, how to serve. But if somebody serves these three, he will develop pure love of Godhead. So to me, it looks like electrical charge. Basically, it's like activity. It's not so much in understanding. At least when you come to the lotus feet of a devotee, it looks like you could be developing pure love of God just by swallowing or putting it on your head or eating or smearing your body with all these nectarian ingredients. So I wanted to hear your opinion, and maybe Vijay Prabhu, if he's still there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice verse. This is CC Antya 16.60. The dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances. 61. By rendering service to these three, one attains the supreme goal of ecstatic love for Krishna. In all the revealed scriptures, this is loudly declared again and again. And then he says, 62. Therefore, my dear devotees, please hear from me, for I insist again and again. Please keep faith in these three and render service to them without hesitation. 63. From these three, one achieves the highest goal of life, ecstatic love of Krishna. This is the greatest mercy of Lord Krishna. The evidence is Kalidas himself. So we know the story of Kalidas, how he went all over and he took the remnants of devotees, even Jadu Thakur, who was so-called born in a Shudra family. So Kalidas had faith in these three, and he received love for Krishna by honoring them. We also know the story of Narad Muni, how he received the remnants of the Bhakti Vedantas, and then he achieved love of Krishna later. But my understanding is that in order to serve these three, one has to hear properly. Without hearing, one cannot serve these three things. One cannot do this mechanically. Kalidas, he knew about glories about Lord Chaitanya, and he had heard from other devotees the glories of the Krishna Prasad. Bhakta Pad Duli Ar Bhakta Pad Jal Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh Teen Mahabal. Because he knows the glories of Krishna and his devotees, that's why he has faith in them. And that's why he could serve them. There are many people who go to Vrindavan, they bring dust from Vrindavan, they keep on their head, they apply, they drink also, but not all of them are getting love of Krishna. There are many so-called preachers of Bhagavatam who speak about Bhagavatam, but they don't have love for Krishna. There are many people who have tried to chant Hare Krishna. Many impersonalists chant Hare Krishna, but they don't get love of Krishna unless we develop faith on devotees, on serving devotees by hearing Krishna Katha. So my understanding is this is a great principle, but it will work only if one is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. That's my theory, Prabhu. But I'm open for corrections. Hare Krishna. Vijay Prabhu or Swarmindu Prabhu, if you like to add anything.
Prabhupada mentions is that it's kind of a joke that the spiritual master, he gives his knowledge to the disciple, and then the spiritual master, he becomes drained. That's what Prabhupada's criticizing. But this to get this, yeah, I mean it's a current. Prabhupada says in the purport that the spiritual master does not have a material body because of his being surcharged with the current of Krishna's identical interest. So Prabhupada gives that example, and also he's getting surcharged with the current of Krishna and also the spiritual master. But it's not the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he got drained because he gave knowledge to his disciples. No, he became more powerful. So by preaching, you become more powerful, not that you get drained. So that's the criticism that Prabhupada's giving. Not that I mean, just by reading Bhagavad Gita, we get surcharged the current of Krishna's transcendental message.
Thank you, Vijay Prabhu.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Swarmindu Prabhu. So we'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yay.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Vancha Kalpatarubhishya Kripa Sindhu Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining. We'll resume tomorrow by Adinath Krishna Prabhu, the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Subhanavindu.
Haribol.
When do you guys come back, Subhana?
Paulo and Prabhu, when are we coming back? Today. Oh, today.
Okay.
I thought we are going tomorrow.
Okay. We'll see you then.
Okay.
Haribol.
Okay. Hare Krishna.